I've got a primary source of authentication at HQ. I've got Azure possibility. I've got a co-location facility. I've got 365. I've got my line of business Workday. I've got Unily, another major application. How do I bridge this all together so that I can extend my identity into the cloud and have just as much of assurance that if I had behind the firewall? It's a really good question. Can't go down. He doesn't have a staff to support 24/7. He says, I don't want it going down. So our thought is, well, if you don't want to go down, let's design HA into it so it doesn't go down. Not let's throw resources of, yes, we'll watch it 24/7. Let's actually design HA into the system so it won't go down. There was staff expertise issues. He was concerned that CEO or someone would lose their phone. What do we do then? How do we get them access into the system? I already mentioned that. Are the production systems going to be on-prem or off-prem? That was a concern. Security drift. Who's going behind to make sure that you deprovision? Someone talked about deprovisioning and provisioning users. Now HR is getting involved. So it's funny, back in 2005 when I got into the identity business, I would go to these Burton Group conferences, which were great in identity. It was the old PKI, and only big companies did SSO back then. And we talked about deprovisioning and provisioning and linking IT with HR, and HR being able to click a button and not needing to call IT. Just click a button, and so this person no longer exists. They've been escorted out. Versus that person leaves the organization, goes home, has access to the cloud infrastructure, which then gives them access to everything until somehow HR gets around to letting IT know they've left. So that's a process piece which has a big impact, but he was concerned about auditing security drift. He had a caching problem and timeout settings. He had got this environment stood up, but he had these timeout settings that were related to Active Directory, not to his RSA. He had caching problems on the local browsers. People would go to hotels and log out of the system. Two of the apps he could set timeouts on a couple he couldn't, and it was really concerning him. Those settings have to be set within AD. And so he wanted a team to go behind the infrastructure and do really a proactive monitoring and assessment to prevent drift of this, because it's so important to him. And the reason I say speed, if you get this right, then new business can add line of business applications relatively quickly, and you have a model that you can deploy into. And so, and he had multi-data centers. So he had lots of data centers that he was straddled. He was in a hybrid world. It was co-location, partially on-prem, partially Azure, and partially 365. But on a mission to solve this problem.